Hi, the date is the 12th of June 2026, and I learned of a new concept yesterday that kind of explained a lot of the struggles that I go through, and I thought I'd share that just if anyone else is having these struggles as well. What I'm talking about is balancing your inner world with your outer world, the internal and the external. And one of the ways that this has developed throughout history, that you can see throughout history, is kind of the masculine and feminine. And Carl Jung had some really good archetypes around that as well. I think it's called anima and animita. And for this video sake's purposes, since I can't remember the specific names of all the archetypes, I'm just going to use masculine and feminine, which as feminine, I'm not trying to make a statement here, it's just the vocabulary I know personally. And it's going to be, the feminine is the inner emotional world, and then the masculine is the outer achieving world. And before people get upset, I want to say that I think all humans have both feminine and masculine. And what I realized a lot of my problems stemmed around was having too much or focusing too much and blocking out. I was focusing too much on the feminine, the inner world, the emotions, inner world, mind, intellectualizing, and I was kind of blocking out the masculine, the outer world, the achieving, the doing. And by doing that, the outer world, it was still there. It's still inside of me. I still have both feminine and masculine, or both archetypes. So the outer world kind of took control of my inner world. And by doing that, since I wasn't experiencing the outer world like it wanted me to, it forced me to experience it through my delusions. So I would imagine these complex scenarios where I would be getting these feelings and hyperfixating on thoughts and overthinking, and this all comes from having too strong of an inner world and not embracing your external. So, and oppositely, this may look like focusing on external stuff, focusing on achieving, doing, and denying your emotions, which end up, when you deny your emotions and focus on your external, then your emotions start to control you, because your emotions will shape, you'll do everything to avoid those emotions, so they'll start to shape your external. So it's interesting how what we block out becomes what shapes us. And the kind of goal here is to recenter ourselves with balance. So in my personal case, where it's too strong of an internal world, too strong emotions, internalizing the mind, I need to focus on the external. That's why I've come out here. It's mid of winter, and I'm going to go for a swim and bring myself back into the present moment in the external world instead of focusing on the internal. Because one of the main ways I realized I always focus on the internal was the past and the future. I'm always focusing on the past and the future, which only exist in the mind. The external is the present. So now I'm pulling myself back into the present to create that balance between the internal and the external world. And by doing that, if these two are very specific archetypes, so some people may be struggling with the opposite, some people may have the external too much, but I don't understand that as much because I haven't experienced it. So I'm going to talk about a little bit my experience, which is the internal world being too overpowering, and in turn being controlled by the external world. So what I'm going to do now is try to balance those out. So when balancing the external, which was kind of shunned before, and then bringing it back, first is presence and going out into the external world. Two is, a big part of your mind is other people and what you interpret other people are thinking about you, and what you think other people are, thinking. and to bring that into the external and out of the internal, because right now people around me, I internalize them, I internalize what they do, what they say to me. I want to externalize it. So now I can start to approach people and maybe have a bit of a conversation or interact with people externally, just externally, and not internalize any of it. And then meditation, even though it seems like meditation would be counterproductive because that's kind of like stimulating the internal world, it's also calming it down to bring you back into the present. And I think that's really important, especially around you feel upset on the inside. Doing things on the outside can help that. Like going for a cold swim can help you process your emotions, because when your external world is balanced, it can kind of calm down your internal world. So a big part of balancing your external and your internal is to take your external and use it to work with your internal instead of against it. And I think that's one of the really big shifts I'm going to be making, is when I feel upset or when I feel angry or sad, I'm going to look at what I can do externally, as well as just be in the moment and feel my emotions. Because another big thing about feeling my emotions is I made a video learning how to process my emotions, where a friend had turned me down hanging out, and it really upset me because it kind of felt like betrayal. And it was a really important, and I hadn't seen them in a long time. And then it happened again today. I reached out again, and they turned me down, or no, they reached out for today, because I was self-respect, I wasn't going to reach out to them again, but they reached out, and then they canceled again today. And the funny thing is, after I learned to process those emotions, I wasn't upset, because I understood it. I understood that they didn't feel like hanging out with me, and it is what it is, and it didn't upset me anymore. So a big part of handling your emotions is just by feeling them. And not internalizing them too, because I could have taken, because now I see it and I'm like, he just doesn't want to hang out with me, and that's just the fact of it, so I'm just not going to involve myself. But imagine if I had internalized all those feelings. He doesn't want to hang out with me, I must be a loser, I must all of this, and then I'd internalize that, and then that would externalize in me not approaching people and not reaching out to people. That could cause so many problems. But because I could balance my external, I could keep the external and keep my internal and balance them together, I was able to deal with that in a way that was way less destructive. But yeah, that's kind of the concept for this video. That's all I really had to say, so that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching.